Hi, Nick McQuaid here. I'd like to welcome you to HCIN 620, Information and Interaction Design for the Fall 2017 semester. And I'd like to go over three important things. The My Courses site, which obviously you found or you wouldn't have found this recording, the syllabus, and the study guide. So let me just talk briefly about those three things and then we'll move on. I think you probably will want to familiarize yourself with these things before the semester officially starts. So first, the My Courses site. And before I talk about our My Courses site, let me say something about My Courses in general, which is that there is a notifications tab. I think if you click on the triangle next to your name, one of the menu choices there is notifications. And you can customize the notifications such that you receive notifications of assignments due in email, and you can customize it to a great extent, and you should. People who use that tell me it's very helpful, but many students don't know about it, so I just want to draw it to your attention before we start talking about our specific My Courses site. Now, on our specific site, we have a number of tabs that you'll want to look at. First is the Content tab that contains the syllabus and the lecture notes, and I want you to go over those in great detail. And then there's a blurb for each week. There's an item for each week and a blurb for each week about what it is that we're going to do and what it is we're going to talk about. That weekly blurb is intended to mirror what's in the syllabus or in the study guide, so it's just another way of getting the same information. There are also some readings on there that may be helpful to you. You have to kind of determine how much you can do, and you know, you'll be graded on your assignments. You won't be graded on how much of the reading material you do. So, but it should be helpful to you. The purpose of the reading material is to make it to make your assignments go better, or to help you in your career. There are some readings there that are just part of the background radiation of HCI that will make you a more successful professional. Okay, then the next tab over, very important, is the class list. So I'll ask you to form teams, and here's where you'll find out who else is in the class, so you can figure out who is available to be on your team. It's very important that you try to form a good team. I suggest you try to form a team of 4. Not everybody will be able to do that because we have an odd number of students, but aim for a team of 4. That's the best group dynamic. Form a pair with someone who's like you, and then join 2 pair who are diverse, who are different from each other. So you get support and diversity in the team. And those are 2 qualities that make for a successful team: support and diversity. So then the next tab over, I think, is the drop boxes, and I've set those up so that the due dates are there for the assignments, and those due dates will automatically be sent to you by email if you activate the notifications. The due dates are all Fridays at midnight. That's just a convenient end of the week kind of thing. That seems to work for everybody. I never get any complaints about choosing Friday at midnight as the deadline. Then the next tab over is discussions. We have 2 discussions for certain, plus potentially others. The 2 discussions for certain are the introduction, so you'll introduce yourselves. That'll help you select your teammates. And then there's a team formation one. When you do form your teams, you'll announce your teams in that discussion. I've had some students in the past say they really like discussions in My Courses. I haven't really used them, but I could start using them, so feel free to make suggestions to me about using discussions. Then the next tab over is the quizzes. That'll just be our final exam. Our final exam will be based on the learning objectives for the course. So you essentially, once you look over the learning objectives in the syllabus, you'll know what the questions are, worded slightly differently, but what the questions are on the final exam are basically question versions of those learning objectives. And then finally is the grading tab. And then there are some other tabs that are just for your own convenience that I think are common to all my courses sites. Okay, now back to the content tab and to the syllabus. There are a few things in the syllabus to draw your attention to. One is the learning objectives that I just mentioned. You must be conscious of those learning objectives because that's what you're going to be tested on at the end of the course. Another thing is the prerequisites. So the prerequisites, there are two. Well, there's a co-requisite of hcin620. I am not too concerned about that. It's helpful for you to take hcin620 at the same time, but I don't think it's strictly necessary. If I know hcin at the time of my making this recording, hcin620 is full, and hcin620 is not. So if you still want to get into hcin620 and you can't get into hcin610, that alone I think is not a deal breaker. What is a deal breaker is if you don't have any prototyping experience. So you need prototyping experience. And when I say prototyping experience, I'm not talking about a programming language. I'm talking about non-functional prototypes such as you can develop in Sketch by Bohemian Coding, Principle for Mac, InVision, and a variety of other similar tools. You must have experience with that. And if you don't, you'll be doing a disservice to your teammates. You won't be able to help them with the prototype. Instead, they'll be helping you learn the prototyping tool. And sometimes they complain to me. That's how I find out that people don't have experience in prototyping, is that I get complaints from frustrated team members. And you don't want to frustrate your team members. You want your team members to admire your commitment and your focus. Those are the important qualities to have and to exhibit to your team members. Important not just in this course, but in all your other courses throughout your academic career and then beyond in the work environment. People admire focus and commitment and expect that from you, and they want to work with you if you have that, and they don't want to work with you if you don't have that. Okay, so enough of that. Another requirement that's mentioned in the syllabus is that you'll do assignments in a small notebook, a small sketchbook, and I ask that you use a 5x8, roughly 5x8 sketchbook. I have some here. This is not meant to be an ad for this is the kind that I use. I don't know if I'm, well, let me just read it. It's Moleskine Cahier, set of 3 squared journals, and I can easily go through a couple of those in a semester. And I don't care about the brand, I just care about the rough size, because you're going to take a photograph of your assignments and put them in the Dropbox, and they'll look different. If you are doing stuff on 8.5 by 11 paper, it'll just, even though I make the photographs the same size when I put them in a PDF, it'll look different from your teammates because your hands are similar sizes, your pencils are similar sizes. Stuff on larger paper just has a tendency anyway to look different. Obviously, if you're a Picasso, you can make anything look like anything, but I'm talking about the tendencies that the typical students have, and don't be concerned about your lack of artistic talent or skill. You just do the best that you can. You're not graded on the basis of the level of skill that you bring to the class, but you do need to develop that skill. Students over and over again, former students of this and similar classes, over and over again come back to me later and tell me that in their careers it turned out that this was the most important aspect, not only of this class, but of their whole graduate education, that they spend a tremendous fraction of their time in meetings in which they have to convey what they do in rough sketches quickly. And that turns out to be a dominant activity, even though we're dealing with this computers. This simple pencil and paper activity turns out to dominate our time. So take that very seriously. Okay, and then there's a bunch of other important stuff in the syllabus. I don't have the syllabus with me right now, but I'm sure there's a lot of incredibly exciting stuff in there. There's some boilerplate text, some links. to campus boilerplate documents. Please review all of that stuff. Then the final document I want to draw to your attention is the lecture notes / study guide, and you should get a good PDF viewer for that, not the one in my courses. That's a very sparsely featured PDF viewer. The one in my courses, you should download the document and use at a minimum Acrobat Reader. There are lots of PDF organizers and fancier PDF readers also that graduate students often use because they have, you know, just a colossal amount of reading to do over the course of their graduate careers, so they want something that makes it easier for them to annotate and make connections and so on. So get a good viewer, and then use the table of contents. So the table of contents, I don't mean the one at the beginning in the body of the text. Any full-featured PDF viewer will have a sidebar with a table of contents that you can use to get from section to section. And you have to do that with this. You're going to have to jump back and forth between sections in the study guide. The first 2/3 of the study guide are the content of the course. The last third is a list of appendices with lists of exercises and things. I've selected 8 exercises for this semester, but there are like 20 exercises in there, plus some other stuff in the appendices. So you're going to need to be able to zip back and forth through there. So make sure that you're using a PDF viewer that has a sidebar that makes it easy for you to go through this lengthy file. Okay, so I've gabbed long enough now, I think, and I really just want to welcome you to the course. Draw your attention to those things that you can start looking at before we begin the semester in earnest, and I look forward to a productive semester. Thanks for your attention.